Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. So just like the other day when we got the Orc preview rules, today is of course the Space Wolf rules. It's their preview, it's their turn. So let's jump in and let's just go through it all. And first up is of course none other than Ragnar Blackmane. Now Ragnar Blackmane's full stat sheet is leaked online, but it's more or less the stuff that I went through a couple of weeks ago anyway. Again, if you want to watch that video, link is up there, but to be fair, we're actually going to be going through it in this video, so there's really not that much really to watch that through. So Ragnar Blackmane, his stats are, let's see, so his movement is 6 inches, weapon skill 2+, ballistic skill 2+, strength 4, toughness 4, wound 6, attacks are 7, leadership is 9, and save is 3+. Now he has some special abilities. One is called Berserker Rage. When this model is affected with a shock assault ability, add 3 to the attack characteristics of this model instead of 1. So as we discussed in my other rule video, that's a potential of 10 attacks at damage 2. He actually says it here, 10 attacks at damage 2, courtesy of his legendary blade Frostfang. That is a lot of attacks. You can actually devastate targets with just Ragnar. Never mind, if you have like Wolfing around him or anything like that, Ragnar alone will be putting out a lot of bloody damage. So I think he's a great model. When you compare him to Gazskull, because I know a lot of people have been doing this, they're like, oh, Varek, who's better? Is it Gazskull or is it Ragnar? For me, it's Gaz, because the thing is, Gaz can only take 4 wounds per phase. So he can only do a max of 4 wounds to Gazskull, where Gazskull can put out more wounds if the dice gods are with him onto Ragnar. So that's why I always think that Gazskull will always trump Ragnar when it comes to a one-on-one duel. Now moving on to their stratagem, because this is the talking point, what we've all been going on about. And it says, the answer on everyone's lips, yes, Space Wolves will indeed gain the combat doctrine. We all knew that anyway, because they announced that in a couple of articles, I think it was like last week or something like that. So we've all been talking about this, like what kind of what kind of combat doctrine will they be getting? Now for me, when I mentioned in the Orc video the other day that I always wanted it to be around melee focused, because when I think of Space Wolves, I instantly go to their ferocity as a Space Wolf. When you think of Space Wolves, you think of like the axes, the chainsaws, the power saws, just that viciousness that they have in melee combat. So that's what I was hoping for, and it actually is that. This is called Savage Fury. It's up on the screen now. So it says, whilst the Assault Doctrine is active, if an unmodified hit roll of 6 is made for an attack made with a melee weapon by a unit with this ability, that attack scores 1 additional hit on the target. So what it basically is, it's Bolter Discipline, but for the Space Wolves. So for Bolt Discipline for the Imperial Fist, on bolt weapons, if we roll a 6, we get a extra hit onto the target. For you chaps who are Space Wolves, you get that 6 with melee weapons, and I think that really suits you chaps. I'm not too really sure how effective it's going to be. I don't really know my Space Wolf units. I know that you chaps have the Wolfen. I know they're pretty beastly, I've heard, in melee combat. I think they get a lot of attacks, so you could really do some damage with them. Again, Ragnar, if you put this to Ragnar with Savage Fury, and Ragnar doing 10 attacks, and he then, scores a couple of 6s, that will then mean more additional hits with Ragnar. So potentially, you're doing 10 plus attacks with Ragnar in a bloody round, which can be absolutely, again, devastating. You're wounding on, you're hitting on 2s and stuff like that, with his good old Frostfang weapon. So yeah, it could really, really be devastating depending on what units you use. I'm sure that you Space Wolf fans will go away and you'll start looking at this differently and like what units are best and stuff like that. Hopefully you'll leave some feedback in the comments section. Like I said, I know that you chaps have Wolfen. What are your like Thunder Cavalry? Are they pretty good in the charge or like attack phase and stuff like that? They have like Thunder Hammers and stuff and Lightning Claws, don't they? So I'm sure they'll be using this to devastating methods. So moving on to the stratagems, it says the Sons of Rust will be able to make use of a whopping 24 additional stratagems. Some of these stratagems, such as Duty Eternal and Veteran Intercessors, will already be familiar to many, but there are some powerful new additions that are unique to the Space Wolves. For example, check out Knowledge of Foe, which offers a handy, if rather gruesome, way of replenishing your command points. So here it is, Knowledge of the Foe, and it's 0 command points. So I don't know if that's an error or it's just Yeah, okay. Let's read it. So, use this stratagem in the fight phase when an enemy character is destroyed by an attack made by a Space Wolf model in your army. You receive 1 command point. So that is like an instant command point then for every character you destroy for your Space Wolves, because you don't have to use a command point. Yeah, okay. So it's basically 3 command points for every enemy character you destroy with your Space Wolves in the fight phase. So you probably want to be getting your chaps in there to really start scrapping and ripping enemy characters apart, so you can get your hands on some free command points. The next one is called Touch of the Wild, and it says if you're looking to give one of your characters a boost in melee, try activating Touch of the Wild for an opportunity to generate extra attacks when combined with Savage Fury, not to mention Ragnar's potential 10 attacks. 1 command point can turn your character of choice into a warrior to rival Russ himself. Okay, so this is 1 command point. Touch of the Wild. Use this stratagem in the fight phase. Select 1 Space Wolf character model in your army until the end of that phase when resolving an attack made by that model and a modified hit roll of 4+ scores 1 additional hit. Holy crap. So if you if you're putting that on Ragnar and you're getting 4+ and all the additional hits, oh my holy emperor. That is so many attacks. I'm not even going to do the maths in my head, but yeah, you got the potential there of putting some devastating attacks down onto the enemy. That is got to be a must if you like taking Ragnar in battle. I can't take it back what I said about Gaz, because Gaz can only receive 4 wounds. So I still think Gaz is still more powerful than Ragnar when it comes to the combat phase. And of course, let's not forget the litanies of battle, since, you know, Space Wolves got to have their own litanies. So it says, more good news, the Space Wolves are about to receive litanies of battle too. After all, there are a few more inspiring sights than the Sons of Russ, than a Wolf Priest bellowing forth mighty oaths of war and tales of inspirational deeds as they unleash their murder make. It says, in addition to 6 standard litanies of battle, there is 1 unique to the Space Wolves that can inspire nearby warriors to bring down even larger prey in short order. So this is called the Tale of the Wolf King and the Lord of the Deeps. So it says, if this litany is inspiring, select 1 friendly Space Wolf unit within 6 inches of this model. When resolving an attack made with a melee weapon by a model in that unit against a monster or vehicle unit, add 1 to the damage characteristic of that weapon for that attack. So Gaskell is a monster, so you know you can possibly do some more damage to Gaskell. But again, the problem with Gaskell is that you can only receive 4 wounds in a phase, so there's only so much damage you can actually put on him. It's probably going to be wasted on him. You probably want to be putting it on something else, monster or vehicle, in the armor. And the last heading we have is Relics of the Fang. So we get a little look into this. So it says, Saga of the Beast also includes a number of new relics of the Fangs available to characters of the Space Wolves. If you want to double down on the litany of battle above, accompanying your Wolf Priest with a character wielding a YM splitter, I'm sorry, I'm awful, will make a brutally powerful combination against both monsters and vehicles. So this is the splitter. It says range, melee, type melee, strength is +1, AP -2, and damage is 2. That's nice. When resolving an attack made with this weapon against a monster or vehicle, this weapon has a damage characteristic of 4 for that attack. Holy crap, that is really, really good. I absolutely love that. The next little preview we have is Talisman of the Storms. This is for the Rune Priest. It says, Rune Priest only. After resolving the first psychic power for the bearer in your psychic phase, roll 1d6 for each enemy unit within 12 inches of the bearer. On a 4+, that enemy unit suffers 1 mortal wound. So there we go, a nice little damage output. And for the Rune Priest, if you have enemies near you. It does state that this is just some of the selection of rules the Space Wolves will be picking up in Saga of the Beast. Of course, all these articles are previews. You'll be able to read loads of exciting new lore as the Sons of Russ hurl themselves into the event of the Psychic Awakening with Fangs bared. Now, this is actually what I'm looking forward to the most in this. I actually prefer the lore over everything. Hopefully it really goes into the Orcs and their war and how devastating it's been against the Imperium. And not only the Imperium, I actually want to see how other empires have fared, like the Necrons, Chaos, Tyranids, Eldar, you know, all these factions that come into contact with the Orcs. I want to see how they're handling with Gaskell becoming basically like the new Grand War boss, let's say, and stuff like that. So hopefully they include that in. Yes, I know we can always argue about the story and how it's basically never ends with a clear victor. It's just always a stalemate, should I say. I know, yes, I've gone about that so many times. I want people to win in their books, but the way GW are, I don't think they'll ever do that because they just don't want to favour a certain faction. So I don't think there's nothing real we can do about that. Right, that's me done for another video. Thank you for coming. Thank you for watching. As always, hope you've enjoyed it. Have a great day. Leave your thoughts, feedback, everything like that down in the comment section down below, and we'll have a nice little talk about it down there. there. See you now, and bye-bye.